Let's listen to Brian Dable on the Malik Nabers number situation.
You know, I know he's very appreciative to the Flaherty family for allowing him to wear that number. You know, I'd say ask Malik about the number. The most important thing for us is to help Malik be the best football player he can be. So you know, I know he's very appreciative to the family. I know he spoke to them. I know he spoke to John. So that's his number, and we're getting ready to play football.
He doesn't want any part of this. Well, there's no way he wants any part of this.
And I will say this to defend Dable. I mean, he can only live in the now. Because he can lose his job if the season goes sideways, right? So he doesn't have the luxury to think about the history of the Giants. He only can focus on 2024. But the owner of the Giants, especially somebody whose father's name is on the football, does have the luxury to think about their history and protect the history.
I'm going to try to hide this as best I can.
Don't hide.
This is a guy. Just emailed me. I know him very well. He used to work for an NFL team. He's been 50 years in pro sports. This is what he said. This is not just nobody, all right? It is an absolute disgrace that the Giants gave away Flaherty's number. A disgrace, an insult to their history. There's still time to change it, fix it before the season begins. This is a huge, monumental error, a GD disgrace.
Mm-hmm. He's right. He's right because,
and he has no dog in the fight here.
And because you know what makes these family-owned teams special is this isn't some corporation that bought the Giants that don't care about the history, don't understand the history. And if that were to happen, it would be still disgraceful. But I guess you'd figure, well, they just don't know any better because they've owned the team for 5 minutes or don't care about the history or whatever. It's just a money-making venture for them. This is the Maras. They could go back to the beginning of the infancy of the franchise. If anybody should get it, it's John. His father's Wellington Mara. His grandfather bought the team for $2,500. I mean, this is part of their history. He is the New York Giants. He should get that. He should understand that. His father was at the sneaker game. So he understands and acknowledges this history. And we live in a world now where history doesn't matter anymore because the hedge fund guys that buy these teams, the people that run it, they live in the now. They don't care about the history. Sports should honor the history, and it should be protected. And the person that should protect it is somebody whose father's name is on the football that is a part. You can't tell the history of football without telling the Giants' history and the Maras' history. And that's something that John should be held responsible. Yes, he should put the best team on the field, and he should try to win a Super Bowl without question. But another part of his job should be to be able to protect the legacy of this Giants franchise, and that's part of their history. And he let that slide through his fingers.
Let's go to Joey in Montclair. Joey.
Hey, guys. Great show as always. Thank you for having me on.
You got it.
Pete, I think you nailed on the head before when you're talking about the Giant way. You know, part of the reason I'm a huge Giant fan is I love, like, the class and the history of the organization. And this is the complete opposite of class. Like, really, what number now is off limits when it comes to playing for the Giants? Like, I can't picture the Yankees giving Ohtani 23 or any number that's retired. Because when that number's retired, it should be retired forever. And not for nothing, shame on Joe Shane, right? Part of the job of the GM is trying to sell players on coming to your team. You couldn't sell Malik Nabers on creating your own legacy. Create your own number. This number's retired, but make a new story for yourself. Like, this should not have been a hard sale. This not even should have been a conversation to have.
See, but one thing I'm wary about, Joey, and I hear what you're saying, and we thank you for the call. I'm not going to blame Nabers. Athletes in general are going to be about themselves, so he can ask for whatever number he wants. You know what the answer is? No. We don't have that number available. It's retired.
When Jim Fossil became head coach of the Giants, one of the first things Wellington did was give him a book on the history of the franchise. Like, so the caller is right in the extent that when you join the Giants, you should be aware of their history. You should be aware of what you represent and what you're trying to become here. Those numbers are what you aspire to become. That's what I would tell him. You want number 1? All right, you know what? Take whatever number and you make it your own. And then one day, maybe you're as good as Flaherty, as good as Lawrence Taylor, as good as Sims, as good as Manning, and you'll get your number retired too. Because we have a history, and that's what you represent when you take that field. It should be important and protected. Listen, what can Joe Shane do if he doesn't have the backing of the owner? Right? I mean, what's Joe Shane supposed to fight with John Mara over
I think this is all Mara. There's no way Shane said, "Hey, could you really get him Flaherty's number? Can you get him Ray Flaherty's number?" No way. He's got other things to worry about. This is all John Mara. Really, it's a pejorative term, being fat hands. He should not have done this. This is a man of power and wealth bothering a family that it seems like it's an average family. Awful. Bad job by John Mara. This guy I like, too. But the Giants have done some things in the last 15 years. Really make you wonder. Really make you wonder. We had a spirited discussion in the 4 o'clock hour about the Giants putting the Flaherty family in an uncomfortable situation to unretire their dad's number so that Malik Nabers could have it. Well, Malik Nabers spoke at the Giant facility, and he talked about choosing his number.
We had a lot of situations dealing with what number I was going to wear. Reached around the locker room, asked about numbers, but I feel like this was the best route that I went. Grateful and thankful to the family for letting me wear this number. I know this number has been worn for 80 to 90 years, so for me to be chosen to wear this number, only favor to God. I'm God's child, so He put me in the right position.
He was asked why number 1.
Why 1? What's appealing about 1?
I just felt like it was the best situation, the number to go at, really.
Does it look good?
I mean, it look good, feel good.
Does it mean anything? Does it have any meaning?
No, it don't have no meaning, but, it has a meaning in this organization. He's been retired for so long. Thank you for the Flaherty family for letting me wear it.
If it has no meaning to you, then why wear it?
Well, he wanted a single digit, right?
There are single digits available that would not cause the stink.
Right. Well, that's why when he
kept saying...
Because
what did he wear, 9 during the preseason?
Yeah. He was 9 until yesterday. Well, I just feel like he said that this was the best route. How? How is that the best route?
But what I take from it is that if they had said no to him, I think he'd be fine with it.
So do I. You can say no to people.
And he's saying all the right things because he probably understands how awkward it is, and he wants to honor that. So I've got no problem with Nabers. He asked a question. He got an answer. The answer was yes, and he's running with it. And I guess I don't have any problem with the Flaherty family. If they want to give the number up, I guess they have that choice, whether they were pressured into it or whatever. But I just don't get why the Giants even made the phone call to ask when it doesn't sound like it was that big of a deal anyway. Are they that we desperately need to be good, and Nabers is going to give her a chance to be good, and we're going to be able to pay $40 million to Daniel Jones because he'll be good again. So you're falling all over yourself because of the quality of the player, that you're disrespecting your history? We don't know what he's going to be. I think he's going to be a really good player, but it sounds like he would have been just as good a player wearing 9. And how about the people, because I've seen this on social media too, that went out and bought the 9 Nabers jersey?
Yeah, I was thinking that. What happens there? Don't you have to give a year's notice before you switch a number?
I guess, I guess, how else am I supposed to think of it, Michael, that I guess that maybe we're honoring the history more than the Giants feel they have to honor it? God, that's such an awkward phone call, man. How do you make it? You just can't say no? You're that scared of these players now?
Oh, he needs number 1. Let me call the Flaherty family.
But did you get any sense during the sound that we played that he was going to make it an issue if they said
no? But, even if he was, you know what? Sometimes it's tougher when you discipline young people. I mean, my kids kick up a stink when we tell them no. We know they're going to kick up a stink, and you still do it. John Mara should know better. And again, he should have an appreciation of the history of the organization more than any person alive.
So now, what? Because we talk about your favorite phrase and our show's favorite phrase, you don't do these things in a vacuum.
No, never in a vacuum, Don.
So next year's draft pick, if they want 10, 11, 56, whatever number's retired, Mel Hines' number. Then I guess John Mara has to make the phone call.
I want him to make the phone call to LT. I want to hear that. I want to hear the phone call to LT. LT, we just picked this linebacker from Alabama. He has to have number 56. LT might drop an F-bomb.
I know what he'll say.
What will he say?
Hop in, Stimson.
And they won't know. Did he?
No one will
so
know.
What did he say?
Just go with it. I think he's fine.
I really don't know what he said. But because if you say no to anybody else, like the next guy that wants 7, that's Mel Hines' number, Hall of Fame center, then you would be disrespectful to the Flaherty family if you said no to that player. You'd now have to call the Hines family and get their permission. That is now, I guess, the standard now. All you have to do is ask for a retired number. They will call the family. So get ready. If you've got a Giant in your family that is the number
Change your
retired,
number.
You're going to get a phone call from John Mara at some point asking you to change it.
And, another phrase we like to use here, you've now opened up a Pandora's box.
That's it. So if I'm the Hines family, the Sims family, the Taylor family, anybody's number's retired.
Unlist your number.
No, what I would do is I would call the Giants today and say, by the way, lose the number.
Well, you know what I would do? I think you know what I would do. You want me to unretire the number? It's going to cost you some cash.
Right. $10 billion.
I want $1 million for you to give that number out right now. Right now, tell me. You got okay? I'm good. Then it stays unretired.
No, but all serious. I mean, you're being serious because that's you. I would call up John Mara and say, by the way, if anybody asks for the number, the answer is no. So don't even bother making the phone call.
He is. Really, he's embarrassed the Giant organization by doing this.
I mean, now are you going too far?
No, I don't think so.
Embarrass the organization? I don't know.
One of the strengths of this organization, you even brought up the Giant way. There is no Giant way.
Now, that I agree.
Away.
I agree that they're definitely doing a bad job with their identity as this sort of team that has a Giant way. But I don't know. Is it going to be a thing that they really... I just think embarrassing themselves as an organization feels...
Well, I read you an email from somebody that's been in the NFL for 50 years. 50. It's an embarrassment what they did. It's an embarrassment. But for a guy who's a rookie, again, don't make a comparable with Y.A. Tittle. It's a completely different thing.
But now you've set the precedent, Peter, that it's worth the ask.
Oh, yeah.
So anytime you want any of the retired numbers, Frank Gifford 16, we'll call the
Kathy
family.
Lee, can we have that 16? Well, what's Kathy Lee going to say?
Right up your you-know-what.
Well, especially now that there's already been a family that said yes, so now you probably feel even more pressure. You don't want to look like, the family that's putting your family above somebody. It sets a bad press. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, Peter, like embarrassing, but listen, I'm a Giant fan. I'm embarrassed because I think this history is supposed to be important, and I guess it's not really all that important. So the Giants are really just like every other franchise. And let's also be honest, Michael, too, anytime a franchise says we're above it, no franchise is. I mean, every franchise in some way, shape, or form embarrasses themselves for the
When they did that thing with the kicker, Don.
Yeah, that's exactly.
There's no Giant way anymore. And they drafted that Peters kid from Nebraska. There's no Giant way. It's how do we win?
And that's every organization. I mean, the Yankees have had their embarrassing moments, and the Dodgers, like all these franchises can look at it and say, oh, well, never on our watch. Nah, it probably happened on your watch, too, because that's the way things are now. But I know there's a whole generation of people that think, what's the big deal? It's 100 years ago. I'm sorry. I mean, just put yourself in that situation. If that was your dad, your grandfather, your great-grandfather, as big a Giant fan as you might be, would you just be so easy to say, yeah, let him wear the number. Doesn't matter. My dead grandfather wouldn't have cared. I can only speak for myself. If Don LaGreca's number was retired by the Giants, there's no way that I would let anybody wear that number ever.